Alright, today I'm going to do my informative speech about how to build a fire safely and be able to eat it. Alright, what kind of fun is that going to be? Alright, so when most people are building campfires, safety is not always the first thing that's on their mind. They're just wanting to go out there, build a fire, pour some gas on it, and let it go. That's definitely not the way to go. Safety should always be number one issue when building a campfire. The first thing when you are building a campfire, you always want to make sure that you have a clear area free of any debris that you don't want to burn. Make sure that it's clear of any kind of overhanging trees that, when the fire jumps, that it might catch on the trees. You definitely don't want that to happen. Far enough away from any bushes, or obviously if you're camping, you don't want it too close to your tent, but you want it close enough where it's going to be able to provide heat. So keep those things in mind. So for the purposes of our demonstration, we're going to use these paper plates as our clear, safe area to build our fire. Okay. Okay. The most important thing that you want to have before you even get started building your fire, you want to have a way to extinguish that fire. You want to be able to have control of the fire the entire time. Good thing you can have a bucket of water, sand, dirt. They all work very well, depending on where you're camping at and what's available would always determine what you're going to have on hand. So for our purposes, we're going to have some Gatorade to serve us as our water. There we go. And also a shovel. Shovel is going to be used obviously to help turn the dirt and the fire once you've attempted to extinguish it. Make sure that all your coals and everything are cool at the end, which we'll get to that later. So definitely you want to have your bucket of water and a shovel to use in aiding and putting out your fire. Okay, so now we've got our clear area free of any debris and our bucket of water and our shovel. Okay, next thing is a fire ring. Now, fire rings can be made of different materials. Some of them are actually made of metal. Some, they could be brick, concrete. You can build your own made of rocks. Some places you might go to, they might actually be built into the ground so that area is there to contain your fire. Again, depending on where you're at, it's going to be depending on what you're going to use. I am going to be using some spice drops. Going to be simulating some rocks that we're going to use to build our fire ring. So just take some of those, pass them around, and then arrange them in a nice little circle in our clear area here. And this is going to be our fire ring, and this is the starting of our safe fire here. Okay. Oh, good. All right. Okay, now that we've got that. Another thing that people don't always think about is there's several different types of fires that you can build depending on what you're going to need it for. There are good fires to be built for cooking. Some are better for heating. Some are better for longevity. If you plan on having a fire that you want to last all night long, there's a certain way that you build that fire. The most common type of fire to build would be the teepee fire. It's really easy to build, quick to light. The only drawback to that is they don't last that long, and you are having to continuously add wood to it, and they don't put off much heat. And they're definitely not very good for cooking. The one that we're going to build today is going to be the log cabin fire. It's good to produce heat. It is a long-lasting fire, and it is also very good for cooking. And to do that, we are going to start off with a few things here. Now, first, we're going to start off with tinder. Now, tinder is going to be smaller, probably dried leaves, pine needles. You can use old newspapers. basically this is going to be the basis for our fire. It's something that's going to light quickly, and it's going to help to ignite the other items to actually build up your big fire. So for this, we're going to use some potato sticks here, and this is going to represent our tinder on the bottom. Just pour a little bit of that out there. And again, this is basically smaller, they said dried leaves. When you're clearing your area, it's a good thing to keep any dried leaves and pine needles that you can clear off from the area. You can save those to use for later. Also, you can bring newspapers, paper plates from lunch, whatever you're using out there. Okay, now our next thing is going to be our kindling. Now kindling, that's going to be a little bit bigger. That's going to be like your small twigs and sticks, things of that nature. You don't want them to be too big because they won't catch on fire very, very quickly. So for our purposes here, we're going to use some pretzel sticks, and we're going to just arrange those in kind of like a crisscross manner on top of our tinder. And this is kind of the basis of our cabin. This is kind of a floor, if you will. Just kind of run them horizontal one way, and then I say vertical, and have them kind of perpendicular to each other. Okay, beautiful. Looks good. Awesome. Very good. Very good. Okay, now comes the big stuff. This is our fuel. Now this is where we come into our bigger pieces of wood. Again, a lot of people don't think about what type of wood you're using. Same thing. There's different woods. Some of them are good to burn for cooking. Some of them are good to burn for heat. There are also woods that you could burn that are going to be toxic to you, and you don't want to have anything to do with them. A good solid wood would be like an oak, hickory. This is a good long burning wood, puts out really good fire. And again, we're looking for our larger pieces, not too big, but these are definitely going to be the main fuel for our fire. This is where the big flames come in here. So we're going to use some of these pirouettes here, and these are going to be our logs here. Take a couple of those. Now I'm going to use our mighty hatchet here and cut these into pieces. And we're going to line these up, kind of building a base and crisscrossing them to build what is going to essentially look like a log cabin. Now, I'm not an architect here, but take my word for it, it looks like a log cabin. Okay? Alright. So, beautiful. Beautiful log cabin. Looks good, right? Okay. Now we have all of our wood set up. We've got our tinder, our kindling, and now our fuel on top of there. Last thing to do is to light it. That's everybody's favorite part. Throw the match. There are different types of lighting utensils you can use. Obviously, good old-fashioned matches are good. If it's wet outside, raining, it's going to be real hard to get that fire started with matches. They do have a flint. It's a stone with a metal rod. You can use that, and it sparks, sends off a spark. It is a little harder to use. Does take some skill. Myself, I always like to just carry a nice butane lighter and get the job done. So for this, we're going to use red hots. These are going to be our ignition source here. These are not M&Ms. Okay, they are cinnamon candies. Okay, so now we have our ignition source. little flamelets here. We're going to place those at the bottom of our fire, and whoosh, there it is. We have our nice blazing fire, beautifully done. Okay, so now we have our fire and we're enjoying it. We have cooked and we have gotten warmth from it, and it is time to cash in for the night. You never want to leave a fire unattended, even when you are going to sleep for the night. You definitely want to make sure that you have your fire put out. And the best way to do that is to obviously take your water, pour it on the fire, and you want to keep adding, again, your water or your dirt, whatever you're using, keep adding it to your fire until you've completely extinguished it. Use your shovel to keep turning the dirt. And the basic rule before you leave a fire is you should be able to put your hand basically where the main fire was and feel no heat. Once you're able to do that, it's safe to leave the fire alone. And from there, I believe we've covered all the bases. Hopefully you guys have learned a little bit about fire safety and a fun, exciting way to have learned that, and enjoy a little snack at the end here. So cheers. Time to partake of our water. I think I'll just drink mine. Very good. Wait for that the whole time, right? Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed.